Perfectionism. Let's talk about it. Now, perfectionism can be quite an annoyance, especially if you're of a creative type or a content creator. This is a very common thing, and there's different levels to it, so I can only really talk about it from my perspective. So there are theories out there that's maybe a form of narcissism or obsessive compulsive disorder, but I'm not sure if I'd see it so much as a disorder because it can actually be a great benefit to you, depending on the kind of work that you do. And there's also this idea that comes from this deep desire for approval of others. So you crave that validation, and if you're just perfect enough, then you'd finally be happy. And most likely the case is that you won't be happy for very long because there's always something else to perfect. It's never finished. Perfectionism is as much a strength as it is a weakness. So I'll give you a funny example. Let's say a hot girl goes into a job interview and the interviewer asks her, "So, what's your biggest strength?" And she says, "Well, I'm hot, so all the men hire me." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, what's your biggest weakness?" And she says, "Well, I'm hot, so men won't take me seriously." I'm not sure if that's a good example, but the point is that perfectionism is a strength yet a weakness at the same time. So the reason it's a strength is because you're very attentive to detail, small things that most people will probably not notice. And because you're able to perfect this, and this, all these details here and there, you're able to create a much more well-rounded package overall. And the reason it's also a weakness is because you can spend too much time stressing over small details which may not be that important overall. And then, you can end up wasting a lot of time, and it's a mental itch that needs scratching because nobody sees the issue but you. One example I can give, let's say a painter is working on a portrait and he sees this little detail on the canvas that he just really wants to change. And the more he tinkers with it and puts, little elements here and there, it kind of ruins the whole piece and makes the whole thing ugly. Another obvious example is, let's say, a woman who does a lot of Botox or surgery. Now let's say she already looked beautiful before, but now she wants to look really hot. And so she changes her lips, her nose, her cheeks, and for a moment she's satisfied. But then there's some small thing that she needs to change here and there. And the more changes she makes, well, she's just gone from nice to look at to a monster. Perfectionism is like a little devil on your shoulder, just whispering in your ear constantly. He's saying "Come on, just one more change. Come on, just one more and then it'll be perfect. Just this little bit here and then it'll be done." And then you change that thing and it'll be actually, you know what? Let's go back to how it was. It'll be better like that. And oh wait, you missed out that little bit here. You know what? Let's start all over again. Okay, don't worry, it won't take long. Just come on, let's do it. As a content creator, I can definitely experience some of this myself. So let's say as a beginner, you really want to make the perfect video. So you just keep procrastinating by trying to get the right equipment, and you just never really start because of the perfectionism. But beyond that, let's say you're actually creating stuff. For example, with me, making piano covers. Let's say I'm recording a piano piece and I make a slight mistake, one key, which is just you can hear an off key for a split second, and it actually doesn't really make that much of a difference because it blends in with the whole piece, with the music altogether. I'll still be damn, that was an imperfection. I gotta go back and record the whole thing. Or let's say I'm making a vlog or a little film, and maybe the sound levels are a bit off. But the issue comes when you finish it all and you've already uploaded it. And then, after it starts collecting views and likes, you start noticing little things here and there. It's oh damn, when I uploaded it, I thought it was perfect, but now that I noticed that little thing here, after watching it a few weeks later, that video is not perfect anymore. You know what? I gotta go back and change it again. And it's what do you do? I'm gonna lose all my likes and views if if I take that video and change that little thing. You know, that's kind of the mindset of a perfectionist content creator. Now let's say if we go into a much more logical profession, let's say accounting, computer coding, anything to do with numbers basically. Attention to detail is most definitely rewarded. Why? Because there's no room for error, there's no room for mistakes. Everything has to be exact and precise, otherwise it's just wrong. But with creative subjects, let's say an artist, an actor, a designer, you know, anything like that, it's not that there's room for error, but there isn't always a right or wrong way to do things, and a lot of the times it's like a matter of opinion. So who's to say whether it's perfect or not? Now I think that a lot of film directors might fall into this trap of perfectionism. You know, directors such as Francis Ford Coppola, David Fincher, Ridley Scott, and George Lucas. Because some of these directors actually release director's cuts of their films. So let's say Ridley Scott with Blade Runner, Coppola with Apocalypse Now, and George Lucas with the Star Wars films. And often there isn't just one director's cut. There's like there's a director's cut, and then the Redux special cut, and then the ultimate cut, and then the final cut, which often is not even the final cut. You know, there's probably more that come afterwards. And you gotta wonder, is it because the directors weren't able to showcase their true full vision? Because maybe the studios wanted to cut the film due to the length time, or maybe they were trying to censor some elements here and there. And one thing George Lucas said was, films are never finished, they're only abandoned. I believe that's what he said. So he went back and tweaked his old original Star Wars films, you know, added a bit more CGI here, changed the music, cut some scenes here and added a bit more scenes there. And I suppose he was just trying to update the films, make them a bit more current and make them more seamless with the prequels that were coming out at the time. And I guess a lot of fans, some of them were probably not happy with the changes he made and probably would have preferred if he just left the films as they were. But he's the creator and it's his creation. So do the fans really have a say on this? So is there a solution to the madness? What I would say is take a step back, try and see the bigger picture, detach yourself, forgive yourself, and think, is this really important in the grand scheme of this project or my life? Are people really going to notice that 2-second longer take on that film I just edited? Probably not. Are people going to notice that my shirt doesn't match my jacket? Probably not. Are people going to notice that I've actually got 2% less body fat than I did a month ago? Probably not. Are people going to notice good overall work? Yes.